So this is Scaling Marketing for Growth. I'm excited for our first panel, Elevating Audience Targeting in a Cookieless World. We've got a great panel, and if you can join me, we've got Sai, the Chief Marketing Officer of SheerID, Hani, the CIO of Adorama, and Samir, the EVP, Chief Digital and Technology Officer at Abercrombie & Fitch.
Good afternoon. Before we jump into data, let's take a step back and maybe quick background on your brand, who your target audience is. Then we can get from there to personalization and data.
All right.
Hani, you want to start?
Sure, I'll kick it off. Good afternoon, everybody. So I don't know how many of you know the company Adorama. I like to start off by always saying we're the biggest small company you've never heard of. Other than the few people in the back there, I know they all knew it. I did a quick poll before I got on stage if they knew us. But in essence, Adorama has been one of the go-to destinations for professional audio, video, and photography for the last 48 years now. Some people know other players in the space, but we are a company that's actually quite diverse and bigger than what most people actually know. So yes, we do sell professional audio, video, and photography gear, but we are also the largest reseller of drones in America for both consumer and commercial purposes. We have a fairly robust gaming area division where we complement that with everything from content. We are big on Discord and Twitch, and we create a lot of content for that. We have our own music department where we now make our own guitars and exclusively sell to musicians all sorts of musical instruments and musical gear, and you won't see a camera anywhere on that page. And then beyond that, if I had to capture our key persona, I would say our main persona is the creators, and to us, a creator is anybody, right? It's musicians, it's photographers, it's videographers, it's gamers, and in that realm, we've now layered in, we have several other companies that cater to other needs of those creators. So we have a professional rental business under Arc Cinema. We have a professional printing business under Printique. And then on the flip side, we also cater in the lifestyle space to what we call adventurers. So we have a scuba diving business under scuba.com, which is the #1 destination for all things scuba diving online, and sunnysports.com, which is kind of like your outdoor camping, hiking lifestyle brand. So that in a nutshell is our entire company. And like I said, most people don't realize we do all these things, but we do.
Awesome. A lot of companies in one company, huh? So Abercrombie & Fitch is really a family of brands. Abercrombie & Fitch, the namesake brand, obviously. The Hollister brand is part of the family. Abercrombie Kids, Gilly Hicks, which serves a more kind of active lifestyle product mix and customer. And our newest brand is Social Tourist, which is kind of part of that Hollister family. So these brands effectively touch from ages 5 to, call it kind of 55, from kids to Hollister to Abercrombie, and then Gilly is a little bit more ageless, and Social Tourist is also kind of in the same vein. So it's a little bit about the brands and the target demo.
And how do you, today, what are your efforts in personalization? What do you guys personalize in terms of the consumer journey?
Yeah, so I'm with the company for about a year now, coming up on 1 year next month. So learning a lot about kind of where the company's been and where we're at. So 10 years ago, everybody knew Abercrombie & Fitch without almost any marketing required. And so personalization, I'd say, it's obviously been around for a long time in the industry, but in this company, I'd say in the last 3 or 4 years, it's really something that we've paid a lot of attention and focus on. And that started with figuring out how to organize ourselves cross-functionally. So we created pods effectively with different people outside from technology, data analytics, marketing, merchandising, really brought together a cross-section of people to focus on different aspects of the customer journey. And today we're doing all the things that you'd expect us to do online in our apps. And then I think where we're probably pushing a little bit more on the envelope is in store. And so our associates are powered with a mobile application, which we call the DSP, that serves all the omni capabilities that you'd expect it to serve. But we're also building new capabilities into that that help them better clientele and deliver a better level of service to the customer when they're interacting with somebody. And a lot of that interplay is happening between the mobile app on the customer's phone and the application the associate's holding, and being able to see order history, order preferences, things of that nature, size, fit, and deliver a better in-store experience on top of all the digital experiences.
What about Hani for you guys? So what does personalization mean?
So personalization means several things to us. at its most basic level, it's about us first getting to know our customers. So we've put a lot of investments in actually understanding our customers across our various brands, and we spent a better part of the last 2 years stitching them together into a single unified profile, which then allows us to take those affinities for, cameras or lenses and then other products to stitch together an experience that can benefit each other. My go-to example in this realm is when somebody buys a $5,000 camera body and a $3,000 lens to go with it, we know what that lens does. It's there for landscape photography. They're not going to sit in their apartment in Manhattan taking pictures of their dog. So then we can extrapolate from that they will need to go out into the world. Therefore, the personas I mentioned up earlier, the creator and the adventurer working together, they are then adventurers, and then we are ripe to target to them what to do and all. And how we do it today is we're still at the starting point of that. So today it's personalization on the homepage of our various sites, so we can actually customize the banners the hero banners up top that they see based on who they are. We're capturing their clickstream. If they self-identify, it's even easier because then we're tying it to all sorts of data we have on them. Otherwise, if they come in completely anonymous, we still kind of have a good sense of who they are. We identify them in the back end. And then beyond that, we then take the personalization to the next level, right? There's what you show them on the homepage initially, but then later on, as they go through the journey, complete a purchase, we're then personalizing even the transactional emails that we're following up with, making recommendations for accessories that could complement their purchase and all. So we've actually seen a huge uplift ever since we started personalization on our transactional emails, that we saw a really nice return on it.
You talked about, in terms of the data using, of course, is the product data that they have purchased. What other types of data are you using today for personalization?
So basically all of the site behavior, the purchase behavior. We have also doubled down on our loyalty programs. We're actually using that for motivating customers to share more about themselves. And this way now today Adorama's loyalty program was exclusively for the main brand, Adorama.com, but by the end of this year we will have launched a multi-brand, multi-tier program across all of our brands, hopefully rolling out. So that way it further gets customers to share more because we're motivating them through it, right? It's not, to us, loyalty is no longer about earn and burn. It's actually about them being part of our community and then us continuing to give them value for that community, right? Whether you're a photographer or a gamer or whoever, or a diver. And we want to do that. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'd go with it. Like, we're encouraging them to share more, and the more experiences they have with us, the more we know about them, therefore we can personalize better.
Got it.
And get all sorts of other data about them.
What about Samir?
Yeah, so all the same things. A lot of observed data based on clickstream, how they're navigating our site, our apps, et cetera. I'd add a couple extra things. So one, ratings and reviews. So on our PDP, we're collecting a lot of ratings and reviews data, a lot of qualitative data there, as well as our customer service chats and customer service calls. So we're capturing, I'd say, millions and millions of customer service calls, ratings and reviews on an annual basis, and we're using sentiment analysis and things of that nature to be able to understand kind of how certain products are faring versus others. So that's one, much more of an objective kind of quantitative data point. And the other, I'd say, is going back to kind of what I mentioned on stores. Our store associates have a lot of insight into kind of what the customer is telling them, how the customer is shopping our assortment. And that's, I think we're starting to scratch the surface on collecting some of that insight, putting it into a system and being able to kind of centralize more of that, but there's a bigger opportunity there. And how do we empower our associates with better tools to be able to share some of that, so we can understand kind of that localized nuance, store by store, geo by geo, that our associates definitely have an insight into, and for the most part kind of gets lost when you kind of go up the ladder in the corporate hierarchy.
So both of you're collecting some behavioral data, you have product data, you have geographic data, you also have some demographic data, right? With what as Apple has been doing for the last 18 months with the whole intelligence device tracking, essentially inability to track device data, as well as what Google is talking about and what everyone foresees as degradation of third-party data. How has your strategy about acquiring some of this data, how is that shifting?
Well, I can say we have been seeing this coming down the road for a while, right? So we ourselves, that's why we doubled down on our own first-party data. That's why we put in the systems to collect it better, to use it better for better segmentation, for being more actionable. I guess what we would say is today, one of the elements that is helping us is we're still heavily promoting social commerce on Instagram and Facebook and other channels, right? So those sources are still sending us data. Now we know that their ability to collect quality data will drop over time, right? Apple and Meta don't get along so well anymore. But I think we know that for the time being, access to third-party data, we'll get what we get, but we're no longer as dependent on it. And because of all the investments we've been making in our own ability to collect data and getting customers to engage with them, with us themselves willingly, that gives us access to much more valuable data. So the whole iOS and Apple cutting off that thing, not track and all that stuff, really doesn't end up impacting us over the long term. I think that's kind of our position. We're not overly concerned about it.
Yeah, I'd say that the value exchange has to be very clear for the customer, right? And increasingly more so now than ever before. And so I think for us, the primary vehicle is our loyalty program. And we've got a really strong penetration across both Abercrombie and Hollister in our loyalty program. But up till now, it's largely been a points-based model where you subscribe and you're gonna get the value exchange is discount. And so I think that needs to evolve, and we're putting a lot of focus and attention into thinking about, as largely a product-based company, how do we deliver more value through the loyalty program in terms of experiences? And so is there access to early product drops? Is there access to influence what an assortment could look like or what a seasonal strategy could look like in an upcoming season? Are there, in our Hollister brand and our social tourist brand, we've partnered with Charlie and Dixie D'Amelio, who are probably the largest social media influencers. So can a finite number of people get access to a dinner with Charlie D'Amelio or a weekend in LA with her, or something like that? So ultimately figuring out how do we unlock more experiences and pay off on that value is something that we're focused on, because otherwise I think the discounts and the points are only take you so far, and I think that value exchange has to be there to collect more of that zero and first party data.
You bring up a really good point about value exchange. I think for the longest time, people in the marketing and the UX world is like, ask as little as possible. That is, interpret that as better customer experiences. Don't ask them any questions. More questions are going to drop off. I think we're turning a corner where we're saying if you ask the relevant questions, if the right incentives are there, there's a value exchange where the consumer is happily willing to give you information about themselves in exchange for whatever it is, like you said, an early drop, a discount, whatever it is right now. Can you talk about what you guys have been doing in that space?
Sure. As I said, we too, I completely agree with everything Samir just said, right? So we are big believers in loyalty being the key driver and keeping the engagement. I think, so for us, it's several tiers that we're doing. So even before loyalty, for us, it literally starts with community, as we see it. For us, community is about that level of engagement that we have across all the channels. So we have 1 million plus subscribers on YouTube that follow our content every single day. We live and breathe creating content ourselves. Therefore, our customers who are doing that feel a certain kinship, right? We understand their challenges. We're doing it ourselves. We are educating them. We're empowering them. We're trying to move to a company that is no longer considered transactional in its nature, but more of an experience brand, right? So we're enabling those experiences, similar to how Samir just said. And to us, it's starting there off of YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all these channels where we're building this community, constantly pulling them in, constantly engaging them, having special events. I think just this week we were at the New York NFT conference, because we already have identified the next place where our creators are wanting to be, right? We're now enabling them to monetize their creations because they believe that's the one way they're going to break off from the hold of Facebook and others, right? And then really own their own content and be able to monetize. So we're being at the forefront of those areas. So we participate there. We help engage there. Then with loyalty as the next level, right? So because you're continuing to engage with us and all, then we reward you for your actions, whether it's a purchase or whether it's sharing your content with us or all of those things as they layer in, it's really leading to this, long-term bond.
Yeah.
And that's what we're driving.
So one, you're using the personalization to drive initial acquisition, but more importantly, the data you're using to how do you get them back, engage them back, and repeat purchase. When you talked about committees, one of the committees you're focused on is the Gen Z in the student population, college student.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit more what you guys have done in that space.
Well, so for us, students matter, right? Because students are literally our future customers in many ways. So many of them right here in this city, whether it's NYU Tisch or New Film School or all these guys, and then anywhere else in America, they come to us to learn things, right? Whether it's, and again, I'm not limited to just film students, gamers and all are coming to us. We're constantly giving them content. We're constantly having promotion. We're holding contests online for them to participate. We're running gaming tournaments now in the city right now, and we hope to do it elsewhere. So students are a big part of who we are. And pre-pandemic, we were actually even going to the campuses and doing events there to drive even more interest. Unfortunately, the last 2 years have been a bit challenging, but we've done it through digital channels. Now we're going back to going out there again. We're using partners such as yourself, SheerID, to help identify those tribes and build on those communities, right? And then we're unlocking greater value for them. We have brands that we have partnerships with that actually unlock a next level on pricing. For example, the most expensive lighting you can get, right, which is Manfrotto. The kind of value we can give to students when they come to us to buy such expensive gear that only the true professionals have are things. We constantly work with our partners to unlock special value to students because we know that if we invest in them today, we create this loyalty because we've now educated them, we've empowered them, we've given them access to really cheap gear that they've never have been able to get. And we take their game to the next level, and now we're even teaching them how to monetize it in the new world of NFTs and all. So I think that's where, to us, students are super important. I think it's literally the cornerstone of our next generation of customers.
And also, if the offer is correct, you see a lot of word of mouth in that community.
Absolutely.
That automatically reduces your cost of acquisition.
The other thing I'd add on the Gen Z piece, so for us, Hollister targets that Gen Z consumer. And so what we're seeing is the Gen Z consumer is engaging digitally with us primarily in the product discovery kind of aspect of the journey, right? So that's social media, our sites, the community of influencers. Those are the platforms and mediums in which they're discovering our product. Given that they're usually a teenager, they don't actually have purchasing power, and so then there has to be a handoff between them and their parent or somebody who can actually make the purchase for them. But from a personalization standpoint, for that Gen Z cohort, it's much more upstream product discovery. How do we help them identify the right product, and how do we connect them with kind of their community who has similar interests as them? And this is a group that we see still really appreciates going into the mall and actually having that physical experience with their friends because they're hanging out there, they're spending time there. So while there's a big push to driving digital conversion, the millennial group definitely we see prioritizes speed and convenience. The Gen Z cohort is much more experiential, and we see a much lower online conversion and a much higher in-store.
With the Gen Z.
Yeah, with Gen Z. Yeah, which seems a little counterintuitive because I think the kind of common thinking is the younger you are, the more digitally kind of native you are, which I think is true in many aspects. And so, again, product discovery happens digitally, but purchase largely because they have to pay with cash or their allowance or whatever it might be, they actually don't have the ability to transact online. And so either they're relying on their parent or they want to go into the physical space.
So are you seeing, as we're coming in out of the pandemic, are you seeing a lot more of store traffic?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like the malls are this kind of like roller coaster of like malls are dead, malls are back. So I think there's, the pendulum keeps swinging, but right now coming out of COVID, we're seeing a lot of activity in the kind of brick and mortar, specifically in that Gen Z space because people want those experiences. They want to hang out with their friends. But they've already done the research up front and they know what they want to buy. They're not coming into the store to figure out what they want to buy. They're coming in, with their wallets open, knowing what they want, and they have to do the transaction in person. So we're putting a lot of effort upstream on that discovery process.
Hani, you're talking about students. One of the things that we have seen with whether it's brands like Target or Nike or Michaels is they take the data the consumers give and they tie it into the CRM. So I see them re-engaging that. So Target does that really well with the back to school teacher appreciation week, or J.Crew does the same thing. What do you guys do with the data you capture? Let's say I was a student, I purchased something. Now I go to NYU, I'm a student, and I purchase it. How do you use that data?
I mean,
it's data I've given to you, it's verified. So
yeah. No, we definitely use that for our segmentation, right? I mean, that's where all of the learnings my brilliant marketing team does in terms of really driving to get customer insights, and then they merchandise against it. They come up with bundles. They come up with entire experiences now. So we're making that data actionable. I mean, the data is there. We're stitching it together. We're tracking everything they're doing. But now we're really, our journey to understand them is not over, right? We're now trying to tie in all the signals we're getting, whether it's any interaction over social media or through customer service or through chat. We're in that phase where I can't say we've done it because we're still doing it, but we're really trying to bring together everything we do, every transaction, every interaction, every conversation matters, and we want to get proactive in reaching out to them and saying, hey guys, you did this, and we know you are into making this. Now let us help you unlock your skill to the next level by enabling you with this gear or this class or this opportunity to meet someone, a creator who's famous on Instagram or an influencer who's a creator, right? They don't want to be called influencers, so they're creators. We will let you meet more creators who you aspire to be like. So we're already operating on that level. So to us, that data is enabling all of these actions that we're doing.
How do you measure success? I mean, people talk either whether it is a net new to file, or it could be conversion rate or engagement. What is your metric for measuring the effectiveness of data or value of data?
I think it's all of the above. It's definitely conversion rate, but I think our North Star is definitely becoming lifetime value. I don't think we've got it locked down yet, our formula for how we calculate that across everything, but it is what we drive to. And more importantly, it's our NPS scores, right? We track that closely. We care about the customer experience. It's that we truly believe when we say we're customer first, we're embracing that. Like I said, a lot of folks over the years used to look at it as a very transactional place you go for deals and the cheapest price, but nothing more. We're trying to change that mindset in the market, especially with the newer public, the students and the younger kids, right, younger generations. We want them to know that we're a brand that speaks their language, that connects them to experiences, that understands them and helps them along the way.
Samir, I know I'm getting a signal here that we're almost out of time. Last thoughts on how, as marketers, we should be thinking of gathering more first-party, zero-party data in the context of,
Yeah, no, I'll just kind of continue to echo the value exchange comment. I mean, ultimately, there has to be value that you're delivering to the customer for them to give you their data. And I think that brands need to continue to think about how they deliver more value. And it can't just be, I'm showing you the right products. I think the experience piece is a big part of that. And I think it goes beyond points and monetary value. There's other ways to deliver value, but that's the key kind of takeaway I'd share.
Thank you so much.